Basildon and East Arcs, Brighton Sound, our local radio station from the heart of Eastgate. It's second hour of Tuesday's edition of Daytime with me, Aston Avery, and what's I got to you this hour? Travel updates, sport, great music, including 80s, 90s gold, and also another exclusive place somewhere as well. But job spots on the way shortly. Looking for work in and around the local area, go and grab pen and paper. So I do have a list of job vacancies lined up for you, but right now,
recording in progress.
It's Daytime with Aston Avery, and Anna Kennedy OBE is in the studio with me to chat all things autism in Essex for the month of February. Welcome, Anna.
Hello, woohoo! And it's February, well, it'll be March next week. Wow, the year's flying already. And wow, how was that single there called Friend from JustJess, our first guest? So she is a rising music sensation, JustJess, who achieved over 10,000 streams on her breakout single, Bringing Me Back to Life, is set to captivate listeners once again with the release of her latest track, Friend. This vibrant pop track combines infectious melodies with raw, heartfelt lyrics, exploring the universal pain of trusting someone only to be let down.
So in actual fact as well, JustJess joins us right now as our first guest here on Gateway today. So
Hiya! Oh my gosh!
Hello!
Hello!
You're
Oh,
single with us. We love it.
oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be sharing the message with the world. Honestly, I think it's so important. I'm so excited to have a radio interview. This is my second one so far, my second radio play. So it's all very exciting.
I'm sure you'll have a lot more. So let's talk a little bit about how do you navigate doing music as a neurodivergent person?
I think the music industry is definitely not catered for people like us. It's very fast paced, it's very overwhelming, and there are a lot of people shouting a lot of demands at you. I think making sure that you have a very clear idea of where you want to be, who you want to be, and just making sure that people don't rush you into becoming somebody that you don't want to be, and making sure that you've got your own sort of routine in how to, get used to studio time, get used to deadlines and things like that, for putting your own, personal experiences out into the world is a very difficult thing to do. It's a very honest thing to do. So making sure that you're doing it in the way that you want to do it is 100% important. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It doesn't matter how many people dress up in fancy clothes and then suddenly get famous. If it's your truth, then tell it how you want to tell it.
Fantastic. Well, yes, because obviously creative process as well, especially with the song we've played here, Friend, here at Jess as well. So how have you found the creative process, and how have you found fitting into the music industry as well?
It's really cool to be sort of a unique perspective, I suppose. There's obviously loads of people like me out there, but I think my style of music is definitely more storytelling than anything else. It's something that you have to listen to. You can't just hear it, you have to really understand where the person's coming from. So I think it's really important that, it gets a message out to people like me. But it's one of those things. Fitting into the industry isn't really something I would say I do. I'd say I'd sort of take the industry and make my own sort of branch, and then, produce my music with my producer and make my music and write my music my way, and then put it into the industry as my box, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and your producer, I believe, is Darren Martin.
Yes,
I've
sir.
worked with Darren before.
Yes.
For our one of our singles. So that was an amazing, such a great guy. So how
Yeah,
was
he's
that
so
process?
funny. We gel so well in the studio, honestly. Like, he'll just pick up on something that I'm saying, and he'll be like, yeah, I think we should put a harmony in here. Yeah, you've definitely got the capability to do that. He definitely challenges me, musically when we're in the studio, and I think that's really important, because it's not only a message, it's I want to show people what I can do as well, do you know what I mean? And I think Darren sees the corners of where sometimes I'm not getting all of the oomph into, he fills all the gaps.
Yeah. You find it a bit overwhelming sometimes?
Definitely, I think the waiting game is probably the most overwhelming thing. Waiting for a song to be released, waiting for people to see what they think about it. Things like this are really important for me, because it's the message of the songs I want to get across, as well as it being like, oh, we're listening to the song, it's vibey,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Talking about the message and the lyrics, so you've got something in here. I'm unfriending the unfriendly. We're always on a low around here and searching for another life. What's the meaning behind these lyrics?
So, I'm unfriending the unfriendly is... well, the song's kind of sad. You heard it. It's not you know, inherently depressing, but it's definitely got like a sad undertone, and I think it's important to make sure that people understand that it is a sad message, but it's a message that's laughing in the face of adversity. You know, it's where things have brought you so down that you can then rise above it, talk about it, show people the vulnerability and how sad it genuinely made you by reaching out to other people and, you know, sharing that raw experience. So unfriending the unfriendly is exactly that. People that you've maybe put your trust in before that have let you down because they don't see you the way that you want to be seen, or treat you the way that you need to be treated in order to, you know, sort of navigate a neurotypical world. And it's definitely hard, you know, leaving people that you've spent a lot of time with, that you put a lot of effort into. It's difficult, but it's definitely a way of preserving your peace. You know, you've got to push away people that bring you down, you know, bring such a negative vibe, you know. But it's not an easy thing to do, you know, unfriending the unfriendly. You know, you have to unfriend them. These were your friends, these were people you cared about, these were people you thought you could trust. And I think it's important for people, especially neurodivergent people, to know that you don't actually need that many friends. You really don't. You need a couple of people that really understand you, you know, because otherwise you're just going to keep searching for all these people that just don't get you. And I've spent a long time unfriending, leaving people, not getting them out of my life, removing myself from situations. And it's just very, I'd say jarring is probably the best word, and not particularly great vocabulary, but it's very like, oh, this again, and oh, this person doesn't understand me, so I'm going to have to just get rid of them again because they were like rude, or they were disrespectful because they didn't take the time to understand. And, you know, where I'm from, there's a large community of neurodivergent people, and I think sometimes with the style of where I'm from, it's not London, it's nowhere special, it's just sort of a normal countryside village town. It's nothing special, but there's a lot of neurodivergent people, and a lot
Whereabouts is that?
I live in Swindon, so it's in Wiltshire.
Okay.
So a lot of countryside around it, but Swindon itself is quite grey, really. So I think we're always on a lowdown around here is definitely where there's communities of people that you can maybe see yourself in, but they don't bring out the best in you because you see the bad parts of yourself in them, and you end up, you know, sort of sitting in this cycle of just everyone bringing each other down and not actually wanting to get out and do something with your life and want to, you know, like
do you think
progress.
It's because of the current world that we're living in at the minute, the uncertain world and everything that's going on in this world, it's really hard? And I've noticed, I've spoken to quite a few people, whether they're on the spectrum or not, where they're finding friendships difficult. You know, you're not allowed to have an opinion, you're not allowed to, you know, agree to disagree type of thing. I just think the world's becoming a little bit more complicated, and everyone's becoming more guarded about what they say. And I think people
are much more sensitive to what people say, and I think sometimes, especially with my friends, we just say it how it is. Like I get offended, but I get offended by intention, not if you're being honest with me. You know, brutal honesty and being curt or being, you know, direct is one of those things that neurodivergent people will always struggle with, and we will always look like that person that is being rude.
At least you know where you stand, because my husband's on the spectrum and my two sons are on the spectrum, and obviously the work that I do, and everyone just says it the way it is. And I think I sort of, because I've lived with it for so long, that I thought that's the way I speak as well sometimes. So it's just
it just cuts out the unnecessaries, you know. Like I think a lot of this message is cutting out fake people as well, because there's only so much BS some people can put up with. Do you know what I mean? Like it's better to get straight to the point, but obviously when people don't have that understanding, you can come across as, you know, being rude. And in such a small town, if you get that reputation of being like a weird person or being an outspoken person that maybe says some things that are a bit out of pocket because there's no other way in our heads to say it, you can be perceived in a specific way, and it stretches far and wide in such a small town. Do you know what I mean?
You know what you need to do? You know who you are, you know what you do, put your blinkers on and keep going. You've got a talent. We can clearly hear that from the words, the lyrics, the music, the tone of your voice, everything. So I always say to people, put your blinkers on and keep going, and take it a day at a time. So why have you called yourself Just Jess?
I think this is really important because throughout my secondary school experience, I had probably one of the worst experiences out of a lot of my friends. Neurotypical, neurodivergent. I was bullied a lot. Not just like, oh, I was bullied. Like it was not a good headspace to be in. It was not a safe place for anybody to be in. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it upon the people that did it to me. Do you know what I mean? Like it was quite a chronic time, and people thought it was really funny to take the mick out of my surname, and that followed me around. I would get anonymous phone calls being like, is this such and such, this nickname that people had come up with me for my surname, is this such and such, oh, I'm calling this hotline, you know, like actually seeking me out to take the mick out of my surname. And that's not who I identify as. I don't identify as, you know, just Hey Ma, you know, because that's what people know me as. I'm Just Jess. That's all I am.
Yeah.
I'm Jess. That's me. That's who I am. The alliteration goes. It's pretty cool, you know, the JJ, you know, I like that. But it's really important to me that that surname didn't follow me around for people to even identify positively in a change in any way, because it's a part of me that I don't want people to, you know, associate with me, because it was such a negative time of my life that I'm so much stronger than you know, having a pop at my surname, and I am just me. Like, this is my first name. That's all you need to know me
in your
as.
voice that you're a strong person.
No.
So
Well, I
just
wasn't
as said.
always, but you know.
Yeah, I
you
understand.
get
Were you
there.
diagnosed fairly early?
No.
Were you diagnosed fairly early?
No, I was diagnosed in year 7, year 8.
Okay, all right then. How did you feel after the diagnosis? Did you feel like a weight had been lifted, or did you not feel anything different?
I didn't want a diagnosis. I
Okay.
lived my whole life understanding that I was different. I knew I was different, and I was navigating it my way. But I think it was more for my parents to understand maybe the help that they needed to get to, you know, parent me and move forward and make sure that I was happy and not becoming this sort of depressed pre-tween. But
Okay.
I didn't want the diagnosis, but definitely now, as I've there's a label on it, you know, you can do the research, but I was doing the research already. I think that labels don't really matter unless it's significant for somebody to move forward in like a medical point of view, because I wouldn't be able to take, you know, the medications that I take without the diagnoses, and they definitely you know, made a positive impact on my life. But I think when you're neurodivergent, you know you're neurodivergent, you don't need a label. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I understand.
you do know, like, because you're not going to be the same as everyone else. You don't think the same as everybody else, and you notice that, and I noticed that from such an early age. It just put a name to it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. I was a bit indifferent.
And the track itself, Friend Here, what do you want listeners to take away from the track, Friend Here, Jess?
I want people to understand that it's okay to be sad when you're moving on, because it's hard. It's hard to become a person that you're comfortable with without leaving behind a person that you were once comfortable with, but now you look back in hindsight with, you know, like sadness and regret and all of this anger. You know, it's important that you need to let go to move forwards, but it's okay to grieve that loss, you know, and friends are a really hard thing to navigate as a neurodivergent person. Like, you know, people use you, people take advantage of some of your idiosyncrasies, some of your, you know, lesser qualities, your stupidities, things that you're ignorant to. And it's definitely apparent in today's society that if you don't have friends that understand you, you're not going to be the best version of yourself. So it's really important that you are seeking out friends, but also not putting all of your effort into just settling with friends that aren't good for you. You know, you've got to understand that you've got to put yourself first. And it is sad, you know, because it is a lonely world, but it's important. It's really important. And I don't want this song, I don't need people from the masses to be like, oh yeah, this is just a vibe. I want people to listen to the lyrics, you know. Like, all of my friends left me high and dry. If you've ever been ditched for a good time because your friends think you're too weird, or you're going to bring the vibe down, or you're not going to gel with their friends, you know, I've been kicked out of pubs when I've been in groups of people because it just wasn't gelling. Like, that's not acceptable. Do you know what I mean?
They're not real friends, are they?
No, exactly.
They treat you like that. So if people want to listen to your songs, where can they find you?
On Spotify. I'm on Spotify. I didn't think that was ever going to happen to me.
So where do they find? Do they just type in Just Jess?
That's it. Just Jess.
And can they also find you on social media as well to find out what more?
I am not brilliant on social media, but I do have a
Okay.
TikTok. It's Just Jess Sings, Just Jess Music, something like that. One of them's a picture of me with blue hair. I am not great with social media, obviously, because
Okay.
I've had a lot of bullying and things like that, and that's not where I want to appeal to. I'm an in-person person, you know. I want
Right.
to make a connection with someone for them to understand me and then listen to my song and be like, oh wow, she did that, she went through that, that's really sad, but look at her
Yeah.
now, do you know what I mean? Like laughing in the face of adversity. I don't need a lot of traction, but if you want to go there, you know, everybody's a little bit obsessed. I am Just Jess H on Instagram, so that's me. That's inverted, so that's not really very helpful for you, is it? And then
Well,
TikTok, I am just _ Jess H, and then I have another account, but I don't really use it. But yeah, if anybody wants to give me a follow, you know, I'm not particularly active, but it's definitely just real raw stuff that I do. A little bit of holiday vlogs, a little bit of singing, some riffs and things, you know. But I'm not prolific on social media. You
So
know?
where can you see yourself the next few years? What do you want to do? What's your goal?
I would love to do a tour, you know, any
Okay.
type of tour to sort of, you know, present my music to different groups of people, you know, whether that be in schools, in universities, on, you know, different stages around, you know, small stages around the UK where I could be like, oh, I'm doing a little one woman tour of my first, you know,
Okay.
produced
I can
EP.
see you doing that.
Yeah, because I want to appeal to, you know, specific people. I want people to understand the message and want to listen to my music and not just hear it on the radio, you know. It's great that I'm being played on the radio, that's insane, you know, but what radio stations, who's listening? Like this, beautiful example of exactly where I want my music to be. But you know, I don't want it to fall into the hands of people that want to put me into another different kind of box, you know. I want to show people, but I want to show people personally, you know.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing your music. Thank you for sharing your views.
Thanks for
and
playing
your
it. Oh my
personal,
gosh.
Story, and hopefully you'll enter. Cause I've been chatting to Darren about you entering Autism's Got Talent. So the closing date for that, for anyone listening in, is May the 31st, and then we're in our 14th year now, which I can't believe. And we've had hundreds of performers from all across the UK and overseas. So they're as young as 5 and as old as, I think, 66.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's the oldest we've ever had, and they're not only singers, they're dancers, they're musicians, they're magicians, they're in bands, just such amazing talent. So I'm hoping that you will enter Autumn's Got Talent, and it will be showcased in the Mermaid Theatre as usual in October, and it's such an amazing show, as I always keep saying to everyone. And recently I was just talking about it on GB News with Nana Akko, and she is coming to the Hero Awards to present an award as well, and also we have a couple of Autumn's Got Talent performers who will be performing on the night.
Well, one was the recent one, and then one's done it before. Autumn's Got Talent.
That's right, and the lovely Aston is going to be first time comparing at the Hero Awards, so that's exciting too. So
well, I'm excited to work
Jess.
further with you guys, you know. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
It's not a problem, Jess, and enjoy the rest of the day as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining Anna and I today.
Enjoy the sunshine when you get out of the studio.
Take care of yourself and keep going.
Thank you.
All right,
I will.
bye.
Recording stopped.
Jess here on Gateway 97.8. Anna will chat very shortly as we'll be getting ready to chat with Kian, who's going to be our second guest.
Looking forward to chatting to Keane. I bet he's bursting to tell us about